Getting you more updates about the Indigo row that had come into the public domain just few days ago. The minister concerned, Jyotiraditya Scindia, has reacted and he has said that the door of the flight had opened by mistake. A BJP leader is in the eye of the storm for this entire controversy, this incident that happened about a month ago at an Indigo flight. Apparently, reportedly, there was the emergency door that got opened, and the minister says that a proper inquiry was conducted and the door got opened by mistake. The flight was delayed by about 3 hours. There was a lot of inconvenience also reportedly that was suffered by the passengers. All these details have recently come out in the public domain. But now the minister himself coming forward and making a statement that as far as this incident is concerned, the door opened by mistake. Pallavi with us on the broadcast. Pallavi, what more do we know?
Statement which has been issued by the Civil Aviation Ministry by way of sources, and I'm just going to quote from that very quickly. The event was duly reported. It appears that there was a mistake and the emergency exit got opened by a passenger while the aircraft was on the ground. The crew took note and all appropriate airworthiness action was taken, which means essentially reinstalling of the door, pressurization check and so on, and no safety was compromised. So as far as the ministry is concerned, a clean sheet has been given to both the Indigo Airlines and also in this case the passenger that it was something which was done by mistake. There was no malified intent and no one's security was compromised at all.
Pallavi, there's a context in which this statement is coming. Even certain people from opposition came forward and took pot shots and said that there's some kind of cover-up that has happened. In response of that, any statement coming in from the minister?
Well, no specific name has been taken by the ministry, but certainly the minister himself has made it very, very clear in that soundbite that he gave that this was just a mistake. Yes, there's been politics over it. Yes, opposition parties, and if you look at the timeline of the Congress leaders, because the elections happening in Karnataka as well, so the attacks are going in on the BJP, on the passenger concerned, and the BJP MP, of course. But as far as the Civil Aviation Ministry or the DGCA probing the entire incident, neither the airlines goofed up and nor was any security of any passenger on the aircraft compromised. The staff was alert, the cabin crew was absolutely alert, and all the required checks were taken.
All right, Tejasvi Surya has been in the eye of storm after it was reported that the Indigo flight he was on, the emergency door opened, and now the minister issuing a statement that it happened due to a mistake. There was no malified intent per se. Pallavi, usually a statement of this nature to be issued requires an inquiry that was conducted. Does the statement hint at all that whether there was some kind of inquiry or not? We'll get those details from Pallavi. But this is an incident that has recently come to light where Tejasvi Surya was on board an Indigo flight when the emergency door opened. Reportedly, there was a lot of inconvenience that was caused to the passengers. The flight was also delayed by about 3 hours. Of course, a big security risk as well to the life of everyone, including the BJP leader and the passengers who were on board. After various pot shots came into the public domain, there are various reactions from the Congress party and others which sought a clarification that how come a mistake of this nature was overlooked and is there a cover-up allegedly that is happening. Mr. Scindia, the Civil Aviation Minister, Union Civil Aviation Minister, has put out a statement on record and he's saying it was just a mistake. And more importantly, there is no malified intent. One can presume that before a statement of this nature is issued, there's some kind of inquiry which is conducted. Ridhima is also with us on the broadcast. Ridhima, just briefly, the entire context to this controversy. And before the minister has put out a statement, what is the protocol? Usually an inquiry is conducted whenever an incident of this nature is reported.
Well, that's right, Anuja. Just to give better context to our viewers of what really has happened, an episode from the 10th of December was reported of an Indigo flight where the reports said that a passenger actually opened the emergency exit. Now, in a case like this, the first protocol is that you have a report which is sent by the airline to the DGCA. The DGCA has taken cognizance of this matter. We are now getting the first reaction of the aviation minister also confirming that this was in fact a mistake and the passenger has apologized. We've also gotten a statement from Indigo on the same lines where the airline has also gone on to say that the entire episode did happen on the 10th of December, but the entire episode was not done intentionally, but in fact was an accident and the passenger in the case did apologize. So that in fact is now being confirmed by the aviation minister. As you asked about the protocols, when an episode like this happens on board, the first is that you ask all passengers to leave the aircraft. There are engineering checks that take place. And after a green signal is given, the passengers are brought back, which of course leads to an eventual delay, which happened in this case as well.
Ridhima, for an emergency door exit, and everyone who's traveled in a flight knows that there are special instructions which are given whenever you're seated next to an emergency door. Usually, incidents of this nature, when they're reported, is there also a protocol? What kind of action can be taken? I mean, in this case, the minister goes on to say that there was no malified intent per se. It was only a mistake that was done. Does the protocol also subscribe any kind of penalties that can be imposed?
The crucial word here is intent. When a case like this is sent to the DGCA, Anusha, they look at intent, whether this was intentionally done to cause ruckus on board or was it an accident. If in case of accident is proven on board, then in a case like this, there is no penalty. And that's why I highlighted the fact that both the statement from the airline and the first comment of the aviation minister also now confirming that this entire episode was an accident. So in this case, it will be a very rare situation when you would see a penalty. The word is intent. If the passenger did have intent to cause ruckus on board, then a penalty would follow.
A ruckus on board, intent is the key word that, as Ridhima is pointing out. Ridhima, going forward, when it comes to the security within the aircraft, and especially the minister himself coming forward and making a statement of this nature, a lot of political potshots have also been taken. You had the Congress party and their spokespersons coming forward and saying, look, there's some kind of a cover-up because it's a BJP leader, Tejasvi Surya, who's involved here.
Oh, that's right. But in fact, that's why the first statement of the airline, which we in fact broke to our viewers yesterday, becomes very, very crucial, where they're in fact confirming the episode, but they're also highlighting that this in fact was an accident. The statement actually further goes on to say that once spoken by the crew members to the passenger in fact apologized. So yes, there was a delay in the departure of the flight because of all the protocols and checks that had to happen, but the passenger in the case did apologize because it was an accident. So as I said, yes, political water words aside, as far as the facts of the case are concerned, which have been reiterated by the aviation minister, yes, there was a case where a passenger by accident opened the emergency gate. Post that, the airlines did follow all protocols. Eventually, there was a delay in the departure of the flight, but once a green signal was given, the flight did take off. And now this, in fact, being confirmed by the aviation minister.
All right. Captain Amit, who's a civil aviation expert, is also joining us on the broadcast. Captain Amit, thank you so much for speaking to us. The minister himself has released a statement and said that we have looked at the facts of the incident and there was no malified intent on part of the passenger concerned here, which is Tejasvi Surya. How do you view this entire incident and especially the response that has come in from the Union Civil Aviation Minister?
Well, the facts of the case are not known if the door was fully open or just unlocked. So since the aircraft was on ground, there is no risk. It is only that the cabin of the ATR is not as, or rather we can say, a bit cramped. And if the passenger is sitting on the emergency exit seat, at times to get a grip, to get up, there is a possibility that the person grips the handle, the emergency exit opening handle. And the handle comes down partially. But to open a door, you need real effort. It means you have to have an intent to open the door, and the lever has to be pulled down fully and the door has to be lifted. So if the door has to be opened, there has to be an effort, real effort from the person, not mere accidental, like you say, that my hand gripped the handle and just the door opened.
Captain Amit, like in line with what you're saying, there are some details that I want to put out to our viewers. In an ATR, which is a small flight, the emergency door is at the front. Some facts that we are stating on the broadcast. While most seats have handles, the seats near the emergency exit do not have an armrest. Now, reportedly, Tejasvi Surya was lightly resting his hand on the door and after a while indicated to the air hostess that the door may have opened slightly. That's what sources have indicated to us. So, Captain Amit, it seems that in the larger interest of security and safety on board, this entire action was taken to make sure that if the door was slightly opened, all proper checks are done.
If the door cannot be slightly opened, it has to be fully unlocked. The lever has to go down fully, and the lever is not at your elbow level or armrest level. It's at the top, at the ceiling. So somebody has to, like I was saying, if somebody wants to get up and wants to grip handle on top to pull himself up, so that is a possibility. And the lever comes down, the door unlocks merely. So to open the door, now you have to use both your hands to open the door. So the door will not open like that.
We all have